Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Triangle Blue Velvet Season 1, Episode 6, and the name of this episode is Middleman. This was actually a really good episode, and I was definitely here for this episode. But before I get started, subscribe to brtbtv.com. If you have not done so, you need to do it right now. I have the link in the description box. Go over to brtbtv.com and subscribe today. You know, there are a lot of great things that's happening, with BRTB Productions, and you need to get on board. So yes, subscribe to brtbtv.com. As well, check out the Triangle Fan Club on Facebook. You get everything BRTB-TV. You get, interactions from the cast and crew, as well as updates from Caesar Williams, and you also get to interact with other fans, some of the discussions are awesome on the Triangle Fan Club. But yes, if you go over there, I just ask that you be respectful, respect the cast, and also respect your fellow comrades. But yes, brtbtv.com and the Triangle Fan Club. Get into it. Let me offer my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in Vegas as well as Texas. Also, everyone that was affected by the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. If you can give any kind of relief or support to anyone that was affected by these tragedies, please do so, because our fellow man needs our help and we need to be there for each other. Okay, so this episode was really good because it had the right title, Middleman, because that's exactly what Jabril was in this episode. Because the episode opens up, Brandon and Jabril are pretty much talking with each other, and Brandon decides again to flip the script. Instead of going to D.C. for the birthday party, because initially the party was supposed to have been a surprise birthday get-together, but then Jabril let Brandon know about it, so Brandon now knows about the surprise. Now he's deciding, instead of having it in D.C., why not invite everybody here to our place? It's like, again, Brandon is trying to control the situation, and he wants Jabril to pretty much be the middleman to talk his family into coming there. And Brandon's like, look, it's my birthday, and I want to have it here. I want everybody to come here instead of me going all the way down there. So we actually see that Jabril decides to do this because he says, okay, if this is what you want to do, I will pretty much talk to your family and we can change everything, from being down in D.C. to here. So Brandon was just like, look, I am not trying to walk into no bullshit. I'm trying to control as much as I can. So if I had it here in my place, I will pretty much be able to hold the reins. So I get where Brandon's coming from with this. I mean, because there is some drama going on with his family, especially after he found out that he has a brother named August. But I think, once that dinner gets down and he actually talks to his father, I think we're going to find out a lot about that. So we see Jabril does what he does, and he made that work. So we actually meet Brandon's uncle, his uncle Benny, and Benny, he is fine. Like, yes, Uncle Benny is hot. But I like Uncle Benny, though, because Uncle Benny is that kind of uncle. He actually reminded me of my two uncles. Both of my uncles are deceased. My mother's brothers. One was older than my mom, and the other one was younger. But Uncle Benny reminded me of them because he is that kind of uncle that don't give a damn about your feelings. He's going to tell you what you need to hear, and he has no problem if you get out of line. He has no problem standing up and kicking your ass. He's that kind of uncle, and I lived for it because we actually see that him and Brandon have a conversation, and he was asking him about him and Jabril's relationship, and the uncle's very open-minded because he loves Jabril as well. And, he was asking him about him and Jabril's marriage, and he said that, and he was asking Brandon, like, is there still a possibility that you guys might get divorced? And he's like, oh, no, we're not getting divorced. Everything is great. And And like Uncle Benny was like, "You sure about that?" I mean, let's be real. You did make him you did threaten him to go to therapy. I mean, how do you think that's gonna play out later on? But one thing that Uncle Benny doesn't know is that Allura was the one person who really got Jabril to change. Because at first, if it wasn't for Allura talking to Jabril, Jabril was probably going to be still smug and not give a shit about the therapy. But since he took Allura's advice to give it a try, we actually see that it's actually better. It actually has made an impact on Brandon and Jabril's relationship. But you know, Brandon's like, everything is fine. I got everything under control. You know, Brandon doesn't want a divorce. Brandon wants to work his marriage out. And yeah, that still is even though things are going great right now between Brandon and Jabril, the possibility of divorce is still on the table. And that's just something that Brandon doesn't want to face. But I was loving Uncle Benny because Uncle Benny was watching TV and he's like, damn, she got a fat ass. I was like, I like him. And then Jabril came up in there and he started cutting up with Jabril like, yeah, boy, I saw you trying to sneak up in here trying to see me. What's good? And it was funny. He's like, yo, I'm going to get out of here. He's like, but one part that was really funny was that he wanted to also bring them over there because because Brandon wants to meet this new dude that Brittany's dating. And Uncle Benny was like, oh boy? Oh yeah, I know him for about a year. He's cool. And Brandon's like, what? You knew him for a year? And Jabril and Uncle Benny was just laughing their asses off because Brittany made sure that Brandon was the last to know about her man. Because Brandon is that older brother, and I'm pretty sure Brandon has probably ran away other boyfriends or dudes that Brittany has brought home. So Brandon was the last one to know, as well as his dad, as well as their father, because I don't think the father's met him either. But Benny's like, yeah, you know, I'm still getting to know old boy, but I can definitely tell he really loves Brittany, and you know, I look forward to seeing him again. And like, he's just laughing because they like, Brittany made sure your ass wasn't going to know. You was going to be the last person because, you know, I can definitely tell, you know, Brandon and Brittany had that brother and sister relationship where he's like the overprotective big brother. So they were kind of laughing, and Brandon was getting his feelings like, what the fuck is so funny? Why are you laughing? It was just too hilarious because they was just like, man, Brittany done pulled the wool over your eyes. Like, and then Uncle Benny was like, I gotta get up out of here before I end up bum rushing both of your asses. I'm out. But yeah, I actually like Uncle Benny because Uncle Benny, at the end of the day, you know, he does care about Brandon, but he also messes with Brandon too, and that's what Brandon needs because sometimes Brandon does take himself way too seriously. So it was good Uncle Benny was kind of busting him in his chops. Another thing that went on this episode, because I'm going to talk about Lenny and Allura, but before that, you know, Jabril was like, you know, won't you get yourself together because I want to take you somewhere, talking to Brandon. So all of a sudden, it's like around nighttime, Brandon's all dressed up, ready to go, and then Jabril was like, oh, well, the thing is, we're not actually going anywhere. I actually got Alex, and he's in the garage. So Brandon's like, what? You actually brought him in? He was like, yeah, he's chained up. Everything's good. You know, we can go, and we both can go in here, and you can say your piece, and we can move on with the situation. And Brandon decided, let me go in there by myself. And Jabril was like, I don't know about that. But he's like, trust me, Jabril, let me go in there by myself, because I just need to get closure. So we see Brandon goes into the garage and we see Alex still chained up. He ain't as beat up as he was before, but we can definitely tell Jabril has been scaring the dog shit out of Alex. Because Alex is like this puny little boy is just crying for help, like, please, Brandon, help me, let me go, please. And he was like, and Brandon just went in like literally like what the fuck were you thinking by doing that to me? You got me on drugs and you did all this shit. What were you trying to do? And he says that, look, I wanted you, Brandon, and, you know, it was my one way of getting you. And he said, what makes you think you had a chance at getting me, man? I mean, he's like, do you see who I'm married to? Like, really? But then, you know, they go back and forth and everything, and Brandon was pretty much saying that, you know what, I forgive you, but I blame myself because I allowed myself to get sucked into you and your bullshit, and I allowed myself to be used. So I had to take responsibility. I allowed myself to do drugs. I allowed myself to be manipulated by you. And he was like, can you please let me go? He's like, nah, I ain't letting your ass go. You can rot in hell for all the fuck I care for what you did to me. And Brandon said his piece and he walked out of there, and then you're like, Brandon, help, help, somebody. I was like, Alex, oh man. And we see that he been changed up and been getting his ass beat since the season finale of Triangle. It's like, poor thing. But then, I mean, because even me, I even had a little bit of sympathy for Alex, and y'all know how much I hated Alex. If y'all been watching my reviews, y'all know how much I couldn't stand Alex and his messy, treacherous ass. But at that moment, I was like, okay, Jarrell, you done tortured that boy enough. Let him run into the wild, but if he does something crazy, shoot his ass. You know, but then we see Brandon and Jarrell have a talk afterwards, and he was saying that, look, I think we need to let him, I think you should let him go. And then Jarrell was like, because, you know, Jarrell's still hell-bent on revenge, so he's like, man, I know it was a bad idea for you to be in there talking to him. He's like, but no, it's not that. You know, it's not that he sucked me in or nothing like that. It's just that, look, we are in a good place, and we should just let all the past go so we can move forward. So yeah, just let him go. You know, he can't hurt us no more. It's just time for us to move forward. So I was like, interesting. But then again, a motherfucker like Alex, you need to watch. So if you're gonna let him go, you need to let him go in a place where he can no longer get to y'all. Because Alex is very treacherous and he's very messy. We've seen the type of shit that Alex can do in season 3 of Triangle. So yeah, definitely, I mean, yeah, y'all can let him go, but make sure you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed before you do. Now, I'm now going to talk about Lenny and Allura. We can definitely tell that Lenny and Allura are there's still this dissonance between the two of them. I mean, because the thing is, Lenny is all in and is ready to be about this relationship, but we see that Allura is still timid, she's still holding back, she still has somewhat of a wall up, and Lenny is just doing everything he can to break that wall down because he's afraid of losing her. But then Allura's like, well, okay, yeah, it was nice that you told me this after I fell in love with you again, and now this is difficult and I need time to process all of this. So, and he's like, I need space, and right now you're kind of, you know, you're kind of smothering me, and I need space, you know, telling this to Lenny. Then we see that she does talk to Jabril, and we kind of get somewhat the meat as to why she feels the way she feels about Lenny. One of them is the fact that she had plans of getting married and having children, but now that she knows that Lenny is HIV positive, how is that even possible? You know, how is my life going to be with Lenny now that I've learned about, you know, his diagnosis? But then, you know, Jabril keeps reiterating to her that, look, it's not a life or death sentence. It's not a death sentence, and it's not an end of life sentence either. You know, HIV has made, due to medical advancement as well as technological progress, there is now medications that actually help people who are infected by HIV to live longer. And then it gets to a point that if they do follow up with treatment and maintain it, it'll get to the point where their virus is undetectable. So, you know, it's workable now, but Allura is still like, yes, I understand that part of it, but what about being a mother? You know, I always dreamed of being married and having a family. how is that going to be possible now that Lenny's HIV positive? Which is a good point. So we actually see later on, again, Jabril is the middleman. He was the middleman for Brandon, between Brandon and his family. And now he ends up being the middleman between Allure and Lenny, because they end up, having dinner at Jabril's house. They're talking, and you can see at the dinner table there is still tension between Allure and Lenny. But now that they're with Jabril, it starts to get even more explosive. And what ends up happening is that they're talking about, Jabril's talking about Brandon and their relationship, and he says that he definitely has come up to a solution about what him and Brandon are going to do, but he says that right now he's going to keep it quiet and he's going to see how things go. And the Lord did remind him, remember, you're going to give therapy a shot. And he's like, I took your advice. I am giving therapy a try. I'm learning a lot, and me and Brandon are moving forward. But I've made a decision as to what the actual state of what me and Brandon are going to be, whether we're going to stay together or be divorced. We still don't know. So that's going to be interesting once that revelation comes forward. But we already see that, Lenny's asking questions, because Allure has been very closed off. And he's like, well, how is it you do this, Jabril? How do you get someone to open up to you and to tell you how they feel? And then Allure's like, Lenny, would you not do this shit right now, please? Could you please cut it out? And then, so definitely the tension is definitely getting more and more intense. But then it really gets there when Lenny brings up about the holidays and saying that we should actually spend the holidays with your mom. Me and her still talk. Oh, Allure went the fuck off. She was like, oh, you still talking to my mother and shit? Yeah, just like you was talking to her when I had the abortion and I really needed my mother. And he was like, but he was saying that, look, I was really down after all of that happened, and I came to her, and me and her, and she. Me and her really connected, and she's been very supportive. She's like, yeah, she's been very supportive of you. Don't you think at that moment I needed my mother? I was the one who went through it the worst, and you practically got my mother on your team, and me and my mother no longer talk, and now you want me to go down there and spend Thanksgiving with her so the both of you can gang up on me? I ain't got time for this shit. And it just really went left. And I was like, damn. So then it's like immediately when he brought up her mom, the abortion. So that was their opportunity to have a kid, and that baby was aborted. And I would like to come to know why she got an abortion. But that one opportunity she had to have a child with the love of her life. Now he's brought up her mom. That immediately brought that up. And we actually saw her earlier talk about that with Jabril. So that just took her emotions to an all-time, and she just started going off. And Jabril was like, look, could you guys calm down? Could you guys take it slow? Like, why are you guys yelling at each other? Like, just pace it. And it just got to a point Lenny just couldn't take it no more. He's like, I need some fresh air. And we see that Lenny goes outside and, have a smoke to do what he got to do. And then Laura's like, you can tell him to get a ride home. I can get me a ride by myself. I just want to be alone. I don't want to be bothered. Look, Aurora was definitely over the top. I mean, like, yeah, girl, you was doing a lot. But then again, I understand why she feels the way she feels, so I gotta respect it. And I understand the way Lenny feels. They love each other. And it's so obvious that Lenny and Allura really do love one another. But now knowing about Lenny's diagnosis, it is completely, put a spin on their relationship. The question is, can they control it? But right now, Allura is just over it. She's just like, look, I can't. She's just like, I want space, and you won't give me space. You're smothering me. You're trying to get, like, he's like, I've accepted it, but I need to process it, because at the end of the day, Allure did have dreams and aspirations that are now kind of put, you know, in the ground now, because she found out about Lenny being HIV positive. But I have to say, that was definitely a scene, and I was just like, whoa, that I was not expecting. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So feel free to comment on this video and share your thoughts and opinions about this episode. But I have to say that this is probably one of the best episodes of Triangle Blue Velvet yet. And I know there's going to be more great things to come. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, check out all of my social media platforms that are in the description box. Also, check out my GoFundMe account. I also have that link in the description box as well. Also, like this video, comment this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Triangle Blue Velvet. So until then, everybody, take care.